This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Good morning. This is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. And guess what? Yeah, we're getting ready to go to a convention, which means, of course, I'm here at the Southwest Terminal waiting for my magic carpet and getting ready to wing my way this time to St. Louis, Missouri for the senior tour. So this should be some fun, certainly. I don't know how many years they've been holding this, but I would imagine as the name would imply, that it is a senior tour, meaning that most of the people who will be performing and attending would be over 55, I guess. That would be qualified for AARP. That's the Association for American Retired People, I believe, or something like that. Anyhow, and so I qualified for attending this convention, and I'm going to be doing something tonight. In fact, for the opening night this evening, I think I'm going to be doing a little Q&A or panel discussion, perhaps with Howard Hamburg and some of the other people. It's going to be quite an interesting convention. As I said, some of the people who are going to be attending are seniors. Not all are, but they do include Alan Ackerman, as I mentioned, Howard Hamburg, Doug Kahn, and I'd forgotten, I think Steve Reynolds is going to be there. I'd forgotten how many others, but I thought it interesting also that Andy Gladman's going to be there, and I think he's still in his 30s, so does not necessarily qualify for the seniors, but we can all learn something from the young people, as you know. And so today, as I said, we're going to be, should be nice weather flying over. Well, kind of. Last evening, I guess there was a severe wind or tornadoes that had ripped through Oklahoma, and it's on its way east. And so I don't know if that's going to affect the flight here or not. But out of Houston, it looks like it's not clear blue skies. It is cloudy, but not windy. It looks like planes are taking off and landing. So things are going well here. So I'm going to be giving a report over the next couple of days. I should say I'm going to give a report that will be a combined report of today and tomorrow, since this evening will basically just be a partial day and then a full day tomorrow. So I'll combine those tomorrow and release that probably Friday late or maybe early Saturday, and then all day Sunday will be another part of the convention, which I'll report that third and final day. It'll come out either late Saturday night or Sunday morning. This, as you know, is episode 751, so we have passed 750, and we're going on for at least another 750 is my plan. Just as Luis D'Amatos had said that he was saying that I'll see you in another 12 years when we can do 1,500, and I'll do that with him. Looking forward to that. That will be so much fun. Well, anyhow, I am going to eat my breakfast here, and of course, you know where I am. I am at Dunkin' Donuts, and today I got something completely different that you guys will not expect, and that is an everything bagel with sausage, egg, and cheese. How about that? So something completely different. Well, I haven't had my coffee yet this morning. Just having a little bit of sip of a hot black coffee. Oh, yeah, that's what I need. I need some more of this black Java in my veins. Well, listen, I will see everybody, or I will be talking with everybody once I get there, and you can hear what all is going on at this unique senior tour over in St. Louis, Missouri, after I get there. So, until I get to the other side, this is Scotty out. I've arrived in St. Louis and at the registration desk, and there happens to be just a little lull right now between registrants coming in. I'm here with three of the guys behind the registration desk, and first of all we have
Steve Zuehlke
and
Jim Molinari,
Steve Buesking.
And there we go. And so you guys, what are your individual responsibilities over here then?
Well, Mr. Buesking and myself put this thing together a couple years ago and hope to carry it on for at least one more year.
But this is the second year, this right?
Yes, it is. Yes, Scott.
I've been saying that this was going to be like the second, right? Was the intent then also to have this to be kind of like with people in the AARP?
Not exactly. That does kind of limit your attendees.
Well, not really, for magic conventions. Yeah. I thought we had to show that card before we came in, not the IBM card, but the AARP card.
You're killing me.
So registration is greater this year than it was last year. Is that right, Jim?
As far as I know, yes. Correct. I don't know by how many, but...
We probably got another, 15 retarees?
They got nothing else to do, so they got some time over here.
Counting the oxygen tanks, yeah.
So some of the people who are here are repeat who were here last year. Is that right then, too?
That is correct. We last year was such a great convention that we pretty much brought everybody back and then added a few more. And hopefully next year, I want everyone to come to St. Louis around April... What is it?
Same time?
19th?
Steve, I'll just go ahead and take it with me now.
Around the 19th, you say, of the month then?
14th, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that, it's always going to be at the same place, I guess, here at the Hilton Doubletree?
Yes, we are.
It's a great place because I love their chocolate chip cookies. It's something it's a little bit
Exactly.
different. Oh, there's a brochure. So what does it say?
April 11 to 13.
Oh, and Ted Anneman's going to be here.
Yeah, he is.
Well, it is a senior tour.
Back from the grave. Yeah.
Marlo, Vernon, yeah, they're all going to be here.
And Jim, you're going to be part of this. You're going to be performing or lecturing, or what are you doing? I thought I saw your name as part of the
I'm
activity.
going to be doing something.
You're not sure yet this point.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay, so this thing is still kind of in limbo as far as who's doing what and when.
Everybody else is pretty well set, but I've had a few problems here and there, but I'll probably do something somewhere.
Okay, kind of bat and clean up. I mean, like as necessary.
Yeah.
Kind of put me in coach wherever I get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're also saying that possibly the Harry Monty might be.
Harry and Trudy are supposed to be here.
Okay.
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing that Harry is one of the longest-running people who have ever performed at the Magic Castle, having performed 50 years straight or something.
I think so.
I think it's 53. I think since the year it opened, or the year after it opened.
Right. Yeah. And he, of course, as many of you may or may not know, is a past national president of the Society of American Magicians as well, and well-known and loved and a legendary guy. So, yeah, hopefully he'll show up here tonight then, too. And,
yes, hopefully.
Any other surprises or things that you got in mind or something you guys are looking forward to?
We have a surprise video that we prepared for Howard Hamburg.
Oh, how nice. Okay.
And basically we went to folks. Howard's not around. We went and some folks at I believe it's the Magic Apple out in California, put together a video of tributes from magicians out from California. As they would come through, they took over a period of 5 to 6 months and put it together. So Howard has no idea that we're going to start the convention with this video tribute for him. I think it's going to be great fun.
Yeah, that's going to be nice. And I like this also that you got an expert at the card table copy over here that everyone is signing as kind of a tribute saying how much we love him.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Was he here last year, or is this his first year here?
He was here.
He was here last year.
He was here last year.
It seems like this type of convention cannot go on without him, as far as him not just being a senior, but also, being something so heralded and venerated, I think, within our organization.
Oh, yeah, he's a legend. I mean, I knew of Howard in the 70s, but we've never met until last year when he came here.
Yeah.
It's our first time, yeah.
Well, he's been getting out a lot more recently than in recent years. He's getting around the convention.
Yes, he has, yeah. I know he had a great time last year. This year he's just a guest of honor. Last year he was one of the performers. Big hit.
Yeah. I can see why. Well, listen, I got some people lining up over here. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it, and good luck. And this is going to be a great convention. So with the Magic Word Podcast, this is Scotty out. So now we haven't left the registration desk yet, but I've got with me Steve Sear and Steve Bolland. So I appreciate you guys coming. Steve's been a long-time supporter and a friend of the Magic Word, and I always like to say hello and get to chat with some of these guys as well. But you guys have been long-time listeners as well, so you like the podcast as well.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a wonderful archive also.
Yeah, kind of looking back, I mean, who would have known whenever I got started?
Yeah, very true.
Here we are today as we speak. Actually, I've just released 750, episode number 750,
Yay.
so with Luis D'Amato. So this convention, enough about me, about this convention. Or we can talk more about me, but that's fine. Let's talk about the senior tour that we've got now. Now, last year was his first year. Were you here last year for that?
Yes.
So tell me what I missed.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful to have these people here, and they enjoyed being together. That was a lot of it. Not just, it's a small convention so that they can, the performers can be intimate with the audience.
Time to talk to everybody.
You can truly talk to them, and they're very approachable, and they enjoyed being with each other also, and we could see that, we could feel that.
Yep.
So it's a tremendous convention.
I agree. I think the performers enjoyed the convention as much as the participants did. They enjoyed being with others at their same level.
That's kind of what I was just hearing about Howard Hamburg, about him being here last year and had such a great time. He's coming back again this year.
Yep.
So.
And Alan Ackerman is coming back. Steve Reynolds is coming back. Bill Goodwin's coming back.
Right.
I think that says something for the convention.
So tell me, I mean, do they have a lot of lectures and everything then as well as a show, or is it kind of loose as far as the program goes, or how is it?
Well, certainly there's lectures, and then they have 2 shows. I mean, a show each day, close-up show. Okay, it's primarily a close-up convention. One real unique thing is that they will have breakout rooms where, at that time, there'll be a choice of 4 different performers. That if you really wanted to zero in on one performer, you could go into his room or his area to ask questions or just simply talk history of what they've done, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a choice for another opportunity for another personal interaction.
Well, I noticed that they don't have a lot of dealers. I just noticed they had a table in there just like with one guy.
One dealer
Wow.
from Nashville. He carries a really nice selection of books. And also different effects and tricks that he's selling.
Which is, by the way, something important because most of us older ones are the ones who read nowadays.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. But he does a great job of the variety of books that he brings and the effects as well. And he changes them up from day to day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so he's what you see today, he'll have some different stuff out there tomorrow.
That's interesting. So he must have driven a big van or something for all the stuff that he's carrying with him, I would imagine.
I suppose, yeah.
Because that's a lot of stuff I noticed he has already, and he's going to swap that out tomorrow.
I am sure that underneath all those tables,
there's more stuff he's going to pull out.
More boxes he's going to pull out.
Or so if you ask him, do you happen to have, well, it so happens I do right here. Okay, exactly. Interesting. I don't think I've ever been to a convention where there has only been one dealer. I've been where there have been no dealers, but usually a lot, but I've never been to where there's only been one. I mean, even at Magic Live, of course, they have several, but I mean, it could be just Stan selling his stuff, or if you're going to Genie, it could be just stuff that Richard Kaufman is selling. But no, they have other dealers, that are there as well. So it's interesting that we just happen to have one dealer here.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot depends on the variety of materials that they have for sale, because actually he seems to take care of everyone quite well. Yeah.
Well, it looked like he had a pretty good crowd around him over there when I poked my head in the room there a while ago.
Well, truly the emphasis on this convention is that gathering of very experienced close-up performers to be able to see them, interact with them. It's more about that than the dealers.
Now, let me ask you this. See, that's an interesting point you bring up there, because when I do go to these conventions, there are a lot of sessions, late at night, and I don't stay up as late as I used to. I don't know about the rest of the group here, but I imagine of this age that we probably are not up until 3 in the morning like we used to. I mean, I remember waiting until dawn, and like with Roger Klaus, when we look outside and say, well, I guess we ought to go to sleep sometime, But that's not the way I do it anymore. But, I mean, so do they have late night sessions here as well? Or?
Oh, yeah.
I think that, yes, there will be out in the lobby.
Out in the lobby area, and I think there may be some that are kind of little pockets back in the rooms.
Okay.
At least that was our impression from last year, and we're just slowly learning how to connect with those.
That's kind of like with the 4F convention at Fechter's. There are a lot of little rooms that people will have in which they're kind of sessioning, or they have parties, that are going on. I mean, people are invited to. Certainly, the door's open. You can go by and whatever, and kind of see who's hanging out. And this is a small enough hotel. I mean, there are 5 floors here, I guess. So It's not like a huge, 18-story hotel.
I think even the performers you will find out here in a circle, sessioning among themselves.
I just saw Howard, speaking of him, out there doing that.
Yeah, and I've seen that at larger conventions, but it seems to be much more intimate here, and that's
what's great about it.
Yeah, that's what makes it really different.
Good to know. Well, great. Steve, thank you guys very much. Appreciate your insight over there, so that way people kind of get a little bit better idea of kind of what's going on here.
Yeah.
So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Steve, Spear, and Bolland. Scotty out. It is now the morning of the second day. We're here on Friday morning, actually, and getting things started. We just had kickoff. Well, first of all, we had the breakfast, which was excellent, wonderful buffet here at the Doubletree by Hilton. And then we had a lecture that was about an hour and a half. That was by Doug Kahn. And one of the things he kind of ended with was talking about some of the videos that he's posting online, which are not exposure, but they're teaching on YouTube, and how he's reaching a lot of people, and also turning that into money for himself then as well. And I've got with me Glenn Morphew, and also the godfather then of magic. I've got Vinny Marini, who is here. Thank you, guys. Hey, Vinny.
Thank you, Scott, for having for doing this with us.
You bet. And Glenn.
Good to be here.
And I'll be seeing you, Glenn, I guess, at the Pebble coming up in a couple of weeks.
Actually, no.
You're not going to the
I'm
Pebble?
not coming this year.
Oh, you're not?
But I'll be in Vegas in August.
At Magic Live?
Yeah.
Okay. So we were just having an in-depth discussion. I interrupted saying, hold that thought, let's start this again. What are your thoughts? I mean, as far as YouTube videos. Glenn, you had to...
Sure. YouTube videos, I look for them, I watch them, and the big problem that I see is that if I want to look up a certain move, it's liable to be from a total amateur that's 13, 14, doesn't do the move well, and doesn't know how to teach it. And I feel like, so you might have to work through 6, 7 different videos to find something taught well. So you kind of have to jump through.
It might just be the move, but not the subtleties. You mean in the background, the history of this.
Well, that's a different thing.
What I was going to say is, when you watch a guy like Doug,
yeah,
you're learning how to perform. Mm-hmm. You're becoming a performer instead of these kids or whatever. There's nothing. They're just doing moves, and there's nothing.
And throwing it out there.
It's nothing. It means nothing to nobody. But when you watch how to perform, and now he take a little simple thing and make it a production, which is really good.
He not only teaches the move, he educates you all about it.
Well, exactly.
From the history to techniques and to applications.
But he also, I'm talking about Doug now, he feeds you information, but he doesn't give you the whole thing. He wants you to work on your own, to go look up this, go find it, go search it. But he's there to show you how it's done.
Isn't that what most magicians who are mentors to others do also? It's
exactly.
Kind of like Vernon, like you hung around with Vernon, and all that. So he would say, okay, here's the idea, you go work on it, and you come back tomorrow or let me know what you've seen.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And really, you could learn on TV. You can learn because there are kids now, they don't know who to go to, they can't afford a private teacher. Because when I was a kid, I went to my dad and I said, hey, Pop, I only knew of Slidini and Scani. And Scani was...
You were a New York guy.
Yeah, Scani was my hero. And I only seen clips of him on the black and white TV.
Trey Lorraine, I guess, out there, too.
Yes. So I said, hey, Dad, could you get me a teacher? You're a musician. You're not a magician.
Glenn, you go out to say something.
No. I was just listening and watching. I got nothing.
I mean, that's it. That's the best I can do.
So how are you enjoying the convention? Go ahead.
Well, no, Vinny, you should tell him. So part of Vinny's motivation about always being so giving with his moves is that he's like, I did this, I played with this, I like this, I want to put it out there and hopefully inspire someone to learn it and improve it. So he was really... And Vinny, here's another thing about Vinny. Back before we had YouTube and things like that on the Magic Cafe, he would do a performance of a move somehow. I don't know how they saw it. But then he would say, if you're interested in the explanation, email me or PM me.
Yeah, I didn't put it out there.
Yeah,
I just...
So he got PM'd, and I remember one time he had
qualified candidates, basically.
With 47 or 52 requests. Wow. And Vinny, one by one, recorded the explanation on the VHS tapes and then paid to mail them out to everybody that asked
to each one. So each had 45 tapes.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Yes, a matter of fact, Whit Hayden contacted me, Aldo Colombini, Jay Sankey was on. He said, Vinny, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I'm just sending it out. Somebody can make it better. And that's it.
Yeah. Where are those today?
I don't see anybody using them.
I was just thinking if it might be something that could
maybe
be put on,
they are.
out there
Maybe
digitally.
they are. I have no idea. How would I know? I mean, I give them another. In other words, when I see somebody doing a double undercut, everybody does that.
Sure.
As soon as you see that, the trick is over. I want to be fooled as a magician. I want to be fooled. So I teach some of the things that I came up with. Now somebody else might have come up with. Who knows? I have no way. But I teach some of the things that's original with me as an alternative to the move they just seen.
Right.
And this way, I think it makes the effect better. That's all. Who wants to do a double lift all the time? We can do something else.
I've had an opinion about that with Vinny. We've talked about this. I says, that's great if it's as equal to or better than the original. But if you're putting originality on a level to where you'll do it over the standard method, if it's subpar to the standard method, then I think you're falling in love with your own stuff a little too much.
Glenn is right about that. But I used to just put stuff out there to somebody to try it and maybe make it better. An idea. All it was is an idea.
You know what you should get? You should really hear this. Tell the story about how you learned about sleight of hand magic at the magic store.
Okay, when my dad said that you're a musician, which I was. My dad, I played flute, classical flute at the time, and that was my thing. I went to Juilliard, but I never finished. But getting back to the magic, I loved magic, so there was this trick. I think it was called Crazy Dots, where you would a red dot on one side and the blue one. You close up the wooden pads, you open it up, and they switch places, the colors. I wanted that trick, so my mother gave me 50 cents, and when I was 14, the buses in New York were a nickel, so she gave me 10 cents, so 60 cents, back and forth, and to buy the trick. Well, I went in there. I don't know. Remember, it was on 52nd Street in Broadway in New York. I don't exactly remember the name of the store. It's not there anymore. So I walked in and I told him the trick I wanted. He had it, and he did it. He performed it for me and said it was $1. I said, I don't have $1.
Wow, that's a bunch of money back then.
Yeah, I said, I don't have $1. I only have 50 cents. He says to me, hey, kid, get the heck out of here. He threw me out.
Yeah.
I was so heartbroken.
Sure.
Who wouldn't be? I love magic.
Yeah.
It's not like he was trying to negotiate.
No,
that's all you had.
No, that's all I had.
You're a kid.
Yeah, I had 14. That's all I had. No job or anything like that. So I went across the street to take the bus back uptown, and this gentleman taps me on the shoulder. He says, hey, kid, you like magic, don't you? I says, well, how did you know? He says, well, I was in the store and I saw what happened to you.
Yeah.
And he presented me with the trick.
He bought it for you.
He bought it for me, yeah.
And brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah,
That's a great
and his
story.
name, I didn't know who the hell he was.
Yeah.
Was Bruce Elliott.
Oh my goodness.
And I had no idea who Bruce Elliott was.
Sure.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I only read books in the library, and I couldn't understand them. I couldn't do it. My hands wouldn't allow me to do. So he says to me, Vinny, where do you live? He asked me. I told him I lived on 68th Street and West End Avenue. He says, well, I live on Riverside Drive on 80. I remember 86th Street. He said, come to my house every day. I'll help you with magic.
Wow.
I got off the bus, the school bus. I didn't go home. I went right to his house, and then I would walk back home. It was close.
Here's one important thing. He said to Vinny, he said, you buy a trick like this or something else, they break or you don't have them when you need them if you want to perform. He said, I could teach you sleight of hand, and you'll have that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, he said, your fingers and the hands are the gimmick. Yeah. Rather than the store-bought thing. But that's true. I went down, I bought the milk pitcher, when you pour the milk in the newspaper. But there wasn't plastic in those days. It was glass. Mm-hmm. I took it home to perform the trick. I dropped it. That was the end of the trick.
Yeah.
So that made sense to me. Your hands are the gimmick.
Wow.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, what a great story, too.
And he also wrote for the Phoenix. As a matter of fact, he was the chief editor of the Phoenix magazine. I didn't know any of that stuff when I was there. I never bothered to ask him. So one day he got killed in an automobile accident, whether he was driving or not, I don't know.
Bruce Elliott?
Yeah, I think it was in 1977, I believe. It's when he passed. But I'm not, don't hold me to that. I'm not sure. But he inspired me, and he taught me. And what I try to do is to give back to young kids, especially if they want to learn something, how I learned, And that's it, because I could not get from. He taught me the Dr. Sachs routine, which was in his book, Classic Secrets of Magic, I believe. And I couldn't do it. How could he taught me personally how to do that effect?
The other thing he did for you is because you were small and had small hands. Is that if he taught you something and you came up with an alternative that did the same thing that the sleight did, that was just particular to your hands, he loved that. He loved you being ingenious and having ingenuity and altering things to fit you.
And he gave me the idea, and if it didn't work the way he taught me, I found out ways to do it my way. And it was unorthodox, kind of, So in my magic, I try to teach that. Even like Glenn says, if it's not as good as the original, don't bother. I understand it, but I like to throw it out anyway. Maybe somebody can do something different with it. You know what I'm saying?
I think I know exactly what you're saying. I think that's part of the beauty also of this convention, in which this is a senior tour, and there are a lot of people who are senior magicians, and it's interesting, like whenever that here Doug is explaining a trick, but he's not going into detail about some basic moves. Well, you know what this is. It's just like when we were at the 4F convention or someplace, they're not going into detail about a double lift or your favorite method. You know what to do. So the guys here know that. My point being exactly to your point then, Vinny, of we are in a place right now where we can and should be sharing this with the next generation.
How do you think I met Glenn?
In the bathroom?
No, we met on YouTube, and there was another magician.
A dating app?
No. What was his name?
ATM? It was when I came up with a Gambler's Action Top Cup, and I went to Etienne Laurencio because the guy's got a magic library and I think a full-time assistant to catalog stuff. So I said, have you ever seen anyone do a gambler's cup off the top of the deck rather than off the bottom? And then he said, no, I haven't. I contacted Darwin Ortiz, Jason England, and Laurencio says, you might want to check with Vinny Marini. He's got some wild, weird ways of doing stuff. So I sent Vinny a message, and I described the move, and I think I sent him a YouTube link. And he's like, no. What's your phone number? Then he called me like every day for a week.
That's the truth.
And
that's how
we just talk. Then I haven't heard from Vinny for a couple of days. I was like, I miss him. Where is he? I call him back. So we just talked on the phone a long time for a number of years. And then eventually, when Skype became a thing, then we would Skype together. And we've had a blast over the years.
That's great.
Yeah. But thank you for listening to our stories.
No, I think that's important. I'm glad you guys shared that. So this way we got it for posterity then as well. Appreciate that.
I
know you're enjoying the convention
thank you,
too.
Scott.
Good to see you. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Glenn Morphew and Vinny Marini. Scotty out. Doug Kahn's lecture is over, and we just had a nice discussion with a couple of guys there, with Glenn and Vinny, and there are a couple other friends I just had breakfast with this morning. I want to talk with a little bit about the convention, and that's Mike Powers. Hey there, Mike.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're fine. And Maria Schweiter. Hey, Maria.
Hey, how's it going?
And we're still fine. So, and we had martinis last evening. You and I were sharing a drink while Mike was over probably sessioning with somebody, I guess.
I was drinking beer, I have to confess.
Well, that's right. You ordered a beer to just sit there for the longest time. He said, well, he's coming eventually. So you finally, I guess, came and got that.
Yeah, understaffed last night, but it was.
Boy, they were, with just one bartender, it seems like. And so, they're getting ready to have a breakout session. Do you know what they're doing at the breakout session?
That's an interesting thing. I don't want to belabor the issue, but I don't think anybody knows what they're doing, what the concept is. We all just came in as last year, like, what am I supposed to do? Well, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and I think that's what everybody's doing.
And you did a breakout session last year when you were here. So you going to do it again this year?
Yep, I'm on tomorrow, and I'm prepared.
Okay, and how long does it last? Like an hour or a half hour, or just kind of a workshop kind of thing?
Well, that's up for grabs in my mind too. I think it's supposed to be an hour, but I'm just going to. If people come by and we run out of steam, so be it. I think it's kind of a nebulous concept as far as I can see.
How are you enjoying the convention, Maria, by the way?
Oh, I always enjoy the conventions. Yeah.
You love conventions. You come to a lot of conventions.
Oh, I go to a lot of conventions, yeah. So, yeah, I love it because magic. You get to see people I haven't seen in a year or two, and, you
Like
get
Scott.
to hang out. Like Scott, yeah. And it's just wonderful. I've been going to conventions since 1972, so.
Which was Abbott's, is that right?
Abbott's, correct.
Each convention seems to have its own character, if you will, don't you think?
Yeah, oh yeah. Abbott, when we were at Abbott's when they had their anniversary, remember that a few years ago? I was sitting there in the high school going, wow, memories just kept floating by from my very first year up until...
You probably go back to before they had air conditioning in the gym.
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember those days. And I've only missed maybe 2 or 3 since 73. I went to Abbott's every year without fail, where I met him, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We discussed that briefly last evening when we were doing a panel discussion.
Right, yeah. And Maria is no stranger to Colon, Michigan from the Chavez.
Oh, that's right. So
Because you used to go down there and study with...
Neil Foster. Yeah, In fact, I was one of the last female in his group because he died shortly thereafter, a couple of years later, I think. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I had to drive up there every weekend for 5 months.
And how far was that? You were in Indiana, right?
No, I was living in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois.
Okay.
That was about 4 hours.
How went far?
About 4 hours,
4
and a half. Yeah.
It's dedication. That's, months of every weekend.
Yeah, and I had to ask weekends off at work because I'm a nurse, so I had to work every other weekend, so I had to beg to have the weekends off until I finished my class.
What did you end up doing with that once you had it? Did you work corporate shows, or, you weren't working birthday parties with Chavez, I guess?
No birthday parties with Chavez, no. No, I did... did a lot of stage shows. I was a member of Ring 236 in Urbana, Illinois, and every year we put on a conference, still do. So I performed every year at our conventions that we moved around the state. I entered a couple contests. I performed at Magi Fest. Where else?
You won second place in the contest in the St. Louis Jubilee.
That was close up.
Close-up, yeah.
But I performed on stage at Magi Fest and a couple other conferences with doing the Chavez thing. My own creation. I didn't do the standard Chavez.
We were talking at breakfast also about how that, of course, they would wear tux and tails, and you had a dress you actually designed yourself.
I designed it myself because I'm not going to wear tux. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I had to adjust what I learned to what I did. And then
Neil Foster gave you some ideas for saying, as a woman, you're going to have to figure it out? Or
No, he just taught us what he taught. Another way
with a regular jacket?
With a regular tux. And he's had women in the past, but I don't know. No, he never said, as a woman you can know. He just taught us what he taught us, and then we had to do what we had to do. But what I did was, instead of doing the standard Chavez, balls, and I eventually designed a stage act using manipulation, but it had a meaning. It made sense, and it was called, what does a woman magician do after she does her act and goes home and gets ready for her date?
Oh, okay.
So I performed that at Magi Fest, I believe it was. So I'm out in the front of the stage doing some Chavez-y, stuff, producing flowers and things. And then I go back, and as I'm going through the curtain, I do a costume change.
The lights go down, and then it comes back, and the stage is set with, now I'm at home, and there's a radio playing music, and I'm waiting for somebody. And so it's really a cool act.
It really is. And then at the very, very end, and we have it on tape so you can watch the video, at the very end, the doorbell rings, bing, bing, and this arm, which is him, with flowers comes out like this, and I do a costume change on stage, which I designed myself.
Wow.
Nothing falls on the floor. It's not like, one of these.
A curtain up or anything.
No, I have this giant feather fan, and I just go like this, and my costume just changed.
It was really cool.
Very visual.
She was at Fechter's one year. She had the costume change dress, and we were in the bar, and she did it. And then other people would come in and they'd go, "Oh, you got to show those guys." And she did it 3 times. It looked, you take this feather fan, and it just looks like it changes from black and white into this purple sequin dress Man, it is a killer
Then
change.
I do that, and then I walk over and take the flowers, and then the lights go down. So that's what I did with Chavez.
That sounds like something you should be doing at other conventions. I'm surprised you haven't resurrected that act.
Well, I think
can be resurrected.
I think we need to. That should be something you should think about doing because it is a really cool act and it has that feeling.
Pretty
of
stunning, sounds like.
Well, she has a champagne bottle production,
nice theme.
And to get the ice for the champagne, she does a snowstorm in China. So now it's starting to make sense. You pour water into the slush powder, and there's some ice cubes in the other parts. So the water washes out. And then the ice cubes come out that go into the champagne. But why did the ice happen? Because I'm doing a snowstorm.
Oh, sure.
And so the cold makes the ice, put it into the bucket with the champagne bottle.
And it's the Neil Foster coin bucket, which only we were allowed to buy in the day, students. So anyway, so in the beginning, when I'm doing the act, I'm doing the coin.
Right.
Miser's Dream. So now I have an excuse to have this champagne bucket.
Yeah.
And then I produce a bottle of champagne and the ice, and it just getting ready for my date.
And you did a dancing cane with a broom.
Oh yeah, I'm
so you're
sweeping,
tidying up with the broom. The head of the broom falls off, and then it's like the music changes on the radio. And it was a great act. I forgot how cool that was.
Yeah, it was.
They love that story right there. You can hear them in the background applauding.
Anyway, that's what I did with Chavez.
Well, as I said, I'd love to see that. You say that's on tape someplace? You got it on video on YouTube?
Oh, no, it's not on YouTube.
You know what? I'll find a good version of it and post it and send you a link.
Do that, and I'll put that on the website then so people can watch that too.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. So anyhow, glad to see you guys here at this convention. As always, see you in a couple weeks, or next week, I guess, at Fechter's then too as well.
That's right.
1 week to go.
Yep, that's going to be fun. So with Magic Word Podcast, that was Maria Schweiter and Mike Powers, Scotty up. We've just finished a lecture with Alan Ackerman. Before that, we had Steve Reynolds, and now I am with someone who actually we had a workshop a little bit earlier then too. I think when we last left you, when we were talking with Maria Schweiter and Mike Powers, and then we had the workshop. And one of the people who was talking was Kevin Kelly, and I've got with him right now. Hey, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, hi guys.
So,
thanks for having me.
Well, it's I'm sure good being had. So you had a nice little talk because Ryan Bliss was giving a little lecture about coins, and I noticed were just sitting there with your hands on your lap, and it's like, he must be talking and telling stories. I'm going to go listen to him. And you were. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So you were part of the roundtable, Chicago Roundtable.
I was one of the luckiest guys in the world, definitely. And I got to spend a lot of time and learn a lot from Ed Marlowe and actually all of the other guys at the table as well. Simon and David, Steve Drawn, Jack Pyle, some of the greats. Mm-hmm. It was really a remarkable time. It really was.
I would think it would almost to a point be like trying to take a drink from a fire hydrant. I mean, there's so much every week, but what did you take away from that? Or were you confused? It's like, I don't know what I just saw.
No, because a lot of yes, there were times when it was magic information overload. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the sessions definitely focused on a handful of tricks that people would bring to the table, and we would talk about them. So there wasn't always this massive unloading unless a new magazine had come out.
Okay.
And when a new magazine came out...
You mean a new issue of...
Yeah, of Marlowe's magazine.
Okay. Oh, Marlowe.
Yeah, of the six magazines. That was always an information overload because Ed never shared any of the material in the magazines until they were published.
Really?
Yeah.
He was just working on it?
He was working on it, yeah. David knew about it, of course, but all of us guys that came from other places.
So it wasn't stuff that he'd kind of like worked with you guys and showed you and you said, hey, we might tweak this or let me know?
No, we weren't part of that. No, it was fascinating. So
David Solomon was the only inside guy.
David and Simon, and, John was involved too.
Rocker Bomber.
Yeah. And so he would not dump on us until the magazine came out. So we'd come up, Don and I would come up and buy the magazines, and then we'd sit there for 10, 11 hours.
Wow.
While Ed would just do as much as he could push out of it at us. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Wow. So it's like seeing the magazine come alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I never saw the magazine. Were they photos? Were they illustrations? Or
mostly little line drawings.
Who drew them?
Richard, his son, did.
Okay.
Some of them. And I'm not sure. There's another man that I can't remember right off. Mm-hmm. But I think there was maybe 3 or 4 total that did it. He never had pictures in the magazines, no photographs.
Okay, I wondered about that, whether they actually took photos of his hands. It could be that if his son was drawing that, I guess he might have just looked at his hands, or might have taken a photo, and then maybe...
Now, the other fella, I wish I could remember his name, I'm sorry, but he took pictures. And I know Steve Reynolds had some of the pictures, and John, he got those from John Rockerbomber. And so most of the illustrations were taken from photographs, for sure.
Okay. Now, you were in Chicago for how many years then before you moved? You live in St. Louis now, is that right?
No, I live in Illinois, East Central Illinois.
Whereabouts?
And I'm in Charleston, Illinois.
Okay.
And
my wife's from Mattoon.
Oh, well, you have to come and see us.
Yeah.
And so Don and I, we just made the trek up to Chicago. He was in Champaign, and I in Charleston, and then I moved to Champaign after I graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you went to U of I guess?
No, I went to Eastern in Charleston.
Charleston, okay.
Yeah, and I met Don in Decatur, Don England, and that's where we got our friendship started. And so we just went to Chicago whenever we could. Yeah, the very first meeting, Ed invited us up, and so...
It's about a 2-hour drive, right? Approximately?
Three or 3.5. And, of course, with Chicago traffic now, you got to add another hour.
Yeah.
Because you got to go up and around to the north side and go to Foster Avenue and get across the Magic Ink.
I thought it was interesting, too, then, Kevin, you were talking about how you had gone to different restaurants because you kept getting kicked out of different places. Yeah. Used to guys stayed too long, they couldn't flip the table.
That's right. Exactly right. And so there's so many that have, I think 5 or 6 that have a lot of good memories because we stayed there for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And the Schulians was always good, of course.
I was about to say, I would think with all the Chicago bars, it had been like Schulians or Ivanhoe or Pickle Barrel or some of those places that probably be open.
Ivanhoe was long gone.
Oh, okay.
That was long gone. But there was Mr. C's, but that was just a bar. You know, we usually met Saturday afternoons and had a little lunch.
Now, Bill Malone's place there, I say Bill, the Houdini bar, they serve food, or was that just a bar?
That was just a bar. Okay. I think they were able to order sandwiches in. I don't remember. When I worked there, I don't remember seeing any food. Usually opened up around 8 o'clock, and that's after all the events in the complex would empty and just funnel into it. Yeah, that was a great experience too.
How long did you work there?
Just a few months, and then they closed. It was an interesting situation at the Boca Raton Resort, and of course Bill can tell you all about it. But
at Illusions, not Illusions. What was this place, Boca?
Malone's.
Malone's, film.
Yeah, it was Malone's, and it was interesting to learn that all of the vendors on the property were all partnerships, and so the restaurants weren't sold. When the property got sold, the partnerships got dissolved. If I'm, telling you right, gosh, I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah.
But so Bill was just wonderful, and watching him grow up, and because he was a little younger than us, and growing up in Chicago, and he would come to the table all the time. And if you can imagine, well, maybe we shouldn't do this, but Bill used to be this big.
Yeah, well, you were telling me he looked like a Q-tip, just long and narrow with
Yeah.
Not quite like none of us are.
With black hair. Not a yellow tip, okay? He wasn't a carrot top.
Yeah.
So, and he was just wonderful. And like I said, he made Marlowe's material commercial. He proved it. I mean, single-handedly proved
I thought that was another interesting comment you made earlier about how that a lot of people didn't do Marlowe thinking that's not commercial, that's really for magicians, that's too slide-heavy.
Exactly.
And Bill proved that wrong.
Not the case. Bill proved it wrong, yeah. Yeah, he absolutely did. And he just got the best instruction that there is. And, he also was, just like Jimmy and Randy and some of the others, Bill or Ed would give them material to go out and try. Out in the real world, and they report back and tweak it or do what they need to do. So it was kind of really cool.
How interesting is that? Well, do you work any place then now? Do you work in
No, I don't. No, I just retired from my job, and so I'm just pretty busy with 4 kids and 14 grandkids.
Yeah.
Yep.
And are they all living around the area also? So it's kind of nice.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're not far. So we have great big family gatherings with lots of incredible energy and madness.
Now, you have conventions, I know. Then let's step over here. I know that you, a little bit kind of noisy right around here, but they have conventions, I think, don't they have the Central Illinois Magic Conventions or something like that?
Yes, they do. That is a wandering, if you will, convention between Peoria, Springfield, and Champaign.
Yeah.
And
so it kind of rotates among the...
Rotates every year. Of course, they didn't have it for the last couple of years, but it's picked up again. I'm lucky enough I'll get to work that in a couple of weeks. And it'll be great fun. This is just getting me started. I've been... Don England and I used to drive all over the place doing lectures.
Yeah.
And that was over 20 years ago.
And Don died some time ago. He was in poor health for a long time at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And it was hard to watch that decline.
Yeah.
For sure.
So is this your second year of this? Did you come last year for the first of this?
I did come last year just as a participant.
Yeah.
And so then Steve approached me and said, "Would you like to work it?" I said, "Well, sure. This could be fun. I think I remember a few things. We're going to find out tonight."
Well, I guess they've almost doubled in size here this year.
They definitely did, and this is very heartening to see. And maybe I see a flyer on the table that says there's one next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Is they going to try it again?
Well, I'll come as a participant next year again.
So what have you got prepared to do this evening? I mean, you're going to be doing like a 10-minute act or 15?
Well, they said 20. Okay. It'll probably be 15 or 20. I'm doing material from the 3 books that I wrote. Intermezzo, which was a 1984 book. Then my Pasteboard Odyssey that I did in 94. And then I wrote Don England's Paradox. And that came out in 2001. And so I'm going to do material from all 3 of those.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Going with what I know. I'm getting my feet wet again, so...
Did you bring any of the books so that way people afterwards say, "Hey, that's kind of cool"?
Oh, gee, yes. I sure did.
Okay.
I sure did.
That's very cool. Well, I'm glad to see that you're still active and still doing that. And so with Ed gone, you don't go back up to Chicago, I guess, like you did, because there's really the round table is nothing like it was. I mean, I know the Chicago Magic Lounge has renewed the interest in that, but it's not quite the same thing.
Yes, not yet. And who knows? The remaining members of the round table, John Bannon, and Simon's gone, and Simon's house used to be the gathering point.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
And once Simon left us, Dave and John get together occasionally. I'm sure still not in as good a communication as we were in the past.
Yeah.
So, but I hope. I mean, it was such a good time, and it was so beneficial. Mm-hmm. So beneficial to be able to go and watch and learn. Mm-hmm. And it would be good if that kind of thing was still around. Some of us would like to be able to pass it on, but we don't see that.
Well, that's the thing. I think that today, then, Kevin, we are in a digital age where we can do Zoom, as we were talking about a little bit earlier before we started chatting about this, anywhere in the world. So we could be talking with people from Portugal and from Italy and England and wherever else, and kind of session that way. And I'm sure that does go on.
And it's so crazy, too. It's just unbelievable to think about those capabilities and how new they are.
Sure.
How brand new they are and how beneficial they are. And it opens those channels of communication like it's never been done before.
We're starting to see other kinds of magic that is done by other people in other countries and cultures that it used to be rare for us to see that, and now we get experience, not only experience it, but learn from those guys who are coming up with it.
Because we can see it. Where, it used to be those books would come over and they're in their home language.
Correct.
And no English. And so we weren't able to benefit, and there was no video.
Yeah.
But now there's the video, that's another bond.
Yeah.
For the international community is we got the video and we can work out the words later.
Exactly right. Well, Kevin, it's very good. I'm glad we had an opportunity to meet each other. Thanks for coming over and saying hi.
Sure.
So I'm glad you listened to the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks for talking with me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And good luck tonight.
Thank you.
You bet. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Kevin Kelly. Scotty out. We have just finished dinner. We're getting ready here for the evening show at about 7 o'clock. So we got just a few minutes. I thought I'd talk with a couple of the other registrants that are here, just kind of get your thoughts. First of all, we got David Sudia. Yeah, that's right. And Daryl Pepila. So I'm going to talk to you about the convention. So did you come last year also?
Yes, I did.
And you?
No.
This is your first one. So are you a close-up card guy or what?
A little bit coins and a little bit cards and color changing knives and stuff like that.
Yep. And also, Daryl, what about you? What's your preference?
I teach magic to children for Abracadabra. So
here in town?
Yes.
Okay, I was just talking with Jeff and Dan Davis
Jeff
about
Lefton
that.
Okay. And Jeff. I used to work for Jeff. Now he's retired.
Right.
So
had dinner with him.
We do a lot of different things. We teach math magic and science magic, with card magic, balloons, of course, just about everything.
So what have you seen here so far at this convention that's been most impressive?
The card work.
Well, everybody's been doing card work, so that kind of narrows it down.
Yeah. I wish I was as good as these guys are. I try, but they've been doing it for 100 years, I think.
Have you learned some stuff then, David?
A little bit.
Yeah. Did you buy some notes or DVDs or anything?
I bought a note from...
Alan Ackerman?
Yeah, Alan Ackerman.
Uh-huh. Yeah, some pretty impressive stuff.
I like his car stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And also, Daryl, do you still buy a lot of stuff, or are you pretty selective as to what you're purchasing now?
I'm starting to get more selective as I get older. My basement is pretty much full of magic stuff, so one of these days I'm going to practice it all, but haven't, of course, gotten it all even opened yet.
I've still got some stuff else that's still unopened then as well. That's right.
My only bad habit.
Your only bad. That's good. Well, if that's all, then that's not bad.
I like to buy DVDs and download stuff.
What have you? Do you have a particular dealer like Vanishing Ink or somebody that you buy from regularly, or Penguin, or?
Penguin. Mostly Penguins.
What recently have you downloaded? You've gotten the most out of?
I think it's Flying Can transfer. But that's one with the dollar bills. Change places in somebody's hand.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea that, who was it that I think, hey, I'm getting one of those too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. I owe you here for just a minute then. So, that was a DVD that I'm just getting from Bill Goodwin here for Peter McClanahan. So, Peter, if you're listening, I've got this DVD for you. You're wanting. I'll see you at 4F next week. So, anyhow, I like the bill trick that... I think it was it Howard that showed that? Yeah, in which you had the bills that turned over. Remember that?
This is a different one.
Uh-huh.
It's something like the color change in knife, but it's with dollar bills.
Uh-huh. Turn it on. And when you're performing, also, then Daryl, do you perform at restaurants or do you perform like as far as close-up goes?
I do some birthday parties, but mostly I work for Abra. I'm out teaching kids.
Right.
And then, of course, I do Santa.
Right.
During the
certain times of the
November,
year.
December, yeah.
Yeah.
I work on the Polar Express.
Okay. That is a nationwide thing, isn't the Polar Express?
I believe they have them in a lot of different
Because they have them in Dallas also. Isn't that the one that, what's the actor that is...
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, and the guy who was in Forrest Gump with him that played his sergeant.
Yeah, I know who you mean. Can't think of his name.
Yeah, I think he was involved with that Polar Express.
I didn't know that.
I think so, yeah. So you do Santa for Polar Express as well?
Yes.
Oh, that's a big thing, yeah. Well, listen, good talking to you guys. Hope you enjoy the convention. You're going to be having it again next year. You coming back next year?
I think so.
Close. We both live in St. Louis. So.
May as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Just down the street. Except for the Magic Word Podcast. That was Daryl and David. Looks like they're darkening the lights.
We're
about to start. Scotty out.